Blizzards to tornadoes to severe heat, several Duluth area nonprofits got together today to prepare their disaster response. And this afternoon, the YMCA, Ready North Network, Red Cross, and others discussed several disaster scenario situations and how to reach out and support those affected by them. Their goal, work together and be prepared before something bad happens. Dan Williams with the Red Cross says the 2012 flood that devastated Duluth is a perfect example of a disaster that can happen in this part of the country.
Big disasters do happen in the area, so this is one way of trying to make sure we're doing what we can to mitigate the impact of future disasters if they happen.
Williams also says the nonprofits are working to educate the community about how they can respond to life-threatening situations.